Or our book reviewer likes going to the tiny libraries, or perhaps you're going to check it out. Wayne Button, you're on the line this morning. How are you?
Hey, Janice, how you doing today?
Not too bad. Have you checked out that tiny library over in your area?
I did, actually. I told her to message me as soon as she got it in. So when she got it in, I went over and took a look, and it's something I was thinking of doing for a while. I'm glad she took it on because I don't really have room for it on my lawn for snow clearing and stuff, but I'm glad someone in the area took it on for sure.
And we know that you like to keep your books and collect them. And this week, with Pride Week on the go, it's only fitting that you have a story to bring us, a review of Small Town Queer. Now, it's a full-length play about members of the LGBTQ community living in small towns in Newfoundland and Labrador. We're going to hear a clip now of what it's about.
I'm blessed because my mom warmed up to the idea and grew with me. And not everyone's parents evolve that way. Some of them tell them to get out of the car, drive away, and literally never look back. They don't even tolerate it. They blatantly show their hatred and never let them back in the car. If you can honestly look me in the eyes and tell me you disown your child over something like who they love, then don't have kids. You don't deserve them.
Now, Wayne, what made you pick up the story that you're telling us about today?
Well, I mean, I always try to, really want to highlight Labrador authors. And to hear that someone in this town wrote this really made me excited and made me proud, especially on the topic that it is. So I wanted to pick it up to see what it was about. And I read a few scripts in the past, so I figured it was something I could do to definitely support a local author and just take a look.
And Small Town Queer has, as I said, it has been put into a full-length play. But what's the difference in reading a script compared to a regular novel?
Yeah, I don't think people read enough scripts. I really think they should. One of the good things about reading a script is, it's very quick. I mean, you could probably read one almost every night, depending on the length of it. And when you're reading a script, like sometimes when you're reading a book, you're thinking, wow, it's almost like this person is talking to me. In the script, and especially in his script, the person is talking to you. They're doing monologues, and they're actually, you can envision them looking out over you from the stage. And, sometimes with a script, there's a lot of detail on what they want the set to be like, sometimes not as much. So it actually allows you to visualize a little bit better how things would be with the lighting and what you would do if you were to do the play. So that's one of the things I like. This allows you to be creative, more visual when you're reading it.
Well, we're going to paint a little bit of a picture again here. Now we have another clip of you reading a section of the story.
People are going to look at me. It's human nature. Because I'm different from them. People stare. I think that's because they have questions, but they're too nervous to ask. Like before testosterone, and my name tag at the department store was clearly not a female name. That was a rough time. I know the debate about the bathrooms comes up every year. It's like Facebook reminds everyone that they need an opinion all over again. But I don't think anyone actually thinks about how weird it is for people like me to actually have the debate with ourselves every time we need to pee. Am I male enough yet? Where would I feel safest? Is this going to turn into an altercation? No one should have to have an existential crisis every single time they need to pee.
Wow, it certainly puts you in a situation of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, doesn't it?
For sure. I mean, I got to say, I'm a heterosexual male, so but I consider myself to be informed and as liberal as possible. But that was the one thing in the book that surprised me the most was, a lot of times going to the washroom, it's like a really big deal for someone who's going through transition and stuff. Something that we take for granted every day. Like the person said, am I man enough to go yet? Am I going to run into somebody and there's going to be an incident? I can't imagine that anxiety and anguish of going through that every day in a public area about what's going to happen when you go to the washroom. That was the one thing that really took me back by reading the script.
So, Small Town Queer was written, of course, as you said, by local author Josh Connors. But what made you decide to read this book, besides the fact that it was locally written?
Well, I mean, I try to be honest, I try to be as informed and knowledgeable as possible. So I actually read a lot of things on politics at times. I read books on sexual assault victims, and reading this, being from Lab City and a heterosexual male, I thought, it's a little bit of my duty to read it and find out, what is it like for someone in this position. I feel even though in the world we don't always agree with each other's opinions or beliefs, I still think it's important that we read about them so that we grab a better understanding. And just that one little clip about going to the washroom really did enlighten me and change my opinion on some stuff. So that's really why I read it as well. I really wanted to just be more informed and, educate myself more on what it's like in this town to maybe be a small town queer.
This week, Labrador West is celebrating Pride Week as well. Has this book done anything to change your thoughts about Pride Week or open your eyes as to the reasons people celebrate?
I mean, not really. I mean, because again, I consider myself a little bit more liberal and free on those things. I'm always glad that they do Pride Week here. I'm extremely proud of the town I live in. I mean, we raise the flag, we paint the crosswalks. We've been voted in one magazine to be, I think, one of the top 6 places in Canada for people to be homosexual. So I think it's great that they do it. Like I said, but I'm still always trying to explore what it could be like. So that's part of the reason why I read it as well. It didn't overly enlighten me. Some of it is stuff I kind of already considered, but like I said, the washroom thing was the one that really stood out to me.
Well, it sounds like it's a great book and something that a lot of the listeners should pick up and have a read.
It is. I hope someday I get to see the play. Josh has talked to me and sent me some pictures, and it looks beautiful. It's really well done. I really think he chose the way they did the best because the entire script is all monologues. There's not really any dialogue in it. So it's people basically standing up, well lit, telling you their story. It's very raw and real. So I hope someday not only reading it, but I hope I get to see it as well.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about it.
Thank you so much, Janice. You have a good week now, okay?
You as well. And that is Wayne Button, our book lover from Labrador City. And this week's book review was about Small Town Queer, a full-length play written by Josh Connors.
Did we do anything after this? Kind of feeling we did. We were watching TV. Watching TV. We were watching TV. Watching TV.
Well, Wayne Walsh is reviewing 2 classic films for us this week, going back to the 1990s when Eddie Murphy was in his heyday. The Great Outdoors and Coming to America. Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning.
Why did you select both of these movies for this week's review?
Okay, so when I went on Netflix, Netflix always pops up with their what you should watch next. And this week I went through and I was trying to find something different and all that good stuff, and I came across a movie called 1,000 Words. It's, I guess, the latest Eddie Murphy movie, and to be honest, I had kind of a nostalgic feel, and I looked at it and said, oh my God, people think this is what Eddie Murphy is. So, as I seen that, I said, well, maybe there's some other kinds of old Eddie Murphy movies that are on Netflix that people could see that he was one of the greatest comedians of our time, and anybody who's probably born in the 90s, all they've ever seen him in was these kids movies, Dr. Doolittle's and all that, but he was one of the greatest comedians of all time, and these movies show it.
So we're going to hear a clip from Welcome to America in which Eddie Murphy was involved. Have a listen.
I have a date with Lisa. Isn't that wonderful? Christmas pageant.
I'm King Jaffe Joffer, ruler of Zamunda.
Yeah, well, have a seat. Chair number 2 be ready in a second.
I have come for my son Akeem.
Wayne, what's the plot of the story for Coming to America?
Oh, the plot is it's an imaginary country made up called Zamunda, as you just heard. That was James Earl Jones in that, actually. There's a couple of big names in that movie, Coming to America. Not only that, the film actually grossed $350 million back in the day. So it was a really big movie in the day. Now, there's something that I also took away from this movie that we should probably point out is that this movie came out in 1998, and for everybody that's kind of playing along attention now with the Black Lives Matter and all that, if you watch this movie, it's considered almost a black comedy from back in the day, but you'll see that they live kind of different. The store that he works in is McDowell, not McDonald's, but it's a suburb or another little factory town food area that they make up and work in. But the big thing that I wanted to get out there is that Eddie Murphy was way more talented than things you can see. So when we grew up, there was always a talk, and I know I'm giving away my age really well now, but to go up and rent the Delirious or Raw DVDs, VHS in my day, was something everybody did because it was known as the funniest stand-up ever. So from that, he became a big star, and I started giving him movies, from Beverly Hills Cop, which was a great action movie with a lot of comedy, and even in there you can hear the laughter. That's the Eddie Murphy laugh. But anybody who hears that, who's seen anything with Eddie Murphy, knows that's his laugh. And also, this is one of his first movies where he played multiple characters. So it was more about finding this diamond in the rough of an 80s movie to go back in the day and just bring you back to a time.
Now, you also are reviewing The Great Outdoors for us this week. I believe we have a clip of that as well.
You just put on your coat and hat and walk yourself to the 100 mile. And when you finish doing that, bring in the dog and put out the cat. Yakety yak. Don't fall back. Yakety 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 yak. Yakety yak, yakety yak. Yakety yak, yakety yak.
You messed up the words, man. You messed up the words twice.
Oh, wow. It hasn't changed.
God, I would have thought they made some improvements or something.
Come on, everybody.
Hey.
Our Lady of Victory,
Victory.
pray
Pray
for
for
us.
us.
Break! Let's go. Oh. Watch the doors. Whoa, trees in the parking lot.
And that was a clip from The Great Outdoors. Now, Wayne, I don't recall hearing or seeing Eddie Murphy in that film.
It was not, but what happens when you get to Netflix, and I guess YouTube has the same kind of hole you can go down to, is once I finish watching the Eddie Murphy movie, Coming to America, they give you other movies that you think you'd like. And I'd seen that the John Candy one was there, in which The Great Outdoors was. And I just wanted to focus on this one because I don't think a lot of people this day and age know much about John Candy, but he was almost a wholesome, great actor from back in the day that we couldn't stop laughing at. He was one of the original guys. He was in famous movies like Uncle Buck, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and he played in Spaceballs and Cool as Runnings. Like, he was pretty famous in his day, but he often gets overlooked these days. But it was a funny, wholesome kind of movie with John Candy just trying to get away with his family, and his obnoxious brother-in-law shows up, or his brother, who's played by Dan Aykroyd, another great from around that era. That we don't see much of these great actors anymore, these ones that stick with you and they keep doing the same kind of movies over and over again in these genres because they perform so well. And I guess that people keep wanting more, and I just wanted to bring John Candy back to life in this day and age that he was so great in his day. So
He certainly was, and you keep bringing me back to my youth every time you review these films from the 90s. So thank you so much for that, and thanks for joining us again this week.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You as well. And that, of course, is Wayne Walsh, our TV nut, with his reviews coming to America and the great outdoors. Well, this